and their various pros and cons. One of the major upsides of playing Bug Delver is a significantly better match against Blue-White-Red Miracles. The ability for Abrupt Decay to actually blow up a counterbalance is a huge deal. Cannot be overstated.
Yeah, that might be the most important card in the matchup, honestly. Decay is great. And Remelt, now, I remember he ran into a draw against Huey Jensen once, and the reason that happened is because they had Batter Skulls running into each other. But I don't see any Stoneforges or Batter Skulls this go-around, as I do look over the deck list. So I don't think we're going to see anything like that happen here. What we're going to see is also Williams play a Ponder to start things off. You see Remelt, he's got a hand with Force Will and some other cards there. It looks like both players should keep 7. So we're going to see how this does go. I don't know who this favors, honestly. It feels like there's a lot of back and forth, though.
I think that this is a matchup that slightly favors Bug Delver, but only by the narrowest of margins.
Underground Sea and a Ponder is where Austin Williams does begin things. He's going to keep that card on top, draws his card, kicks it back, does have a Daze and a Force of Will. You see Remelt draw a copy of Jace the Mind Sculptor before kicking it back over to Williams.
And I think the tipping point is really just Abrupt Decay compared to the other Delver variants.
Yeah, I think that's the most important card. And that's why I think Bug is doing pretty good in this matchup. If this were Rug, for example, I would feel very bad for Austin. But since he is Bug, it's, still tough, but doable. Here's a Tarmogoyf.
Access to discard spells of various sorts, whether it's Thoughtseize or Hypnotorak, both of those are going to be pretty productive against Miracles most of the time.
Tropical Island does come into play from the Misty Rainforest. There's a Tarmogoyf. It's just a baby, though. Just a 1-2. Excuse me, just a 2-3. I apologize. There's a Ponder in the graveyard.
I think of Bug Delver as the anti-control build of Delver, Blue-White-Red as the anti-creature build, and Rug as the anti-combo.
Gotcha.
It's a little more complicated than that, but I find that to be a helpful shorthand.
There's a sword. It's going to get a... We'll see if it's going to be a Plains. Yeah, I figured it would be. Basics are actually one of the nicest things that this deck can do.
I mean, very conscious of Wasteland.
Yeah, now this is actually interesting. Austin has stopped him and said, hey, I might want to fight over this. You're assuming this is going to resolve, but you're not sure. Okay, all right, it's gone.
I think if Austin there does not have Brainstorm, he's sort of forced to fight over it because he has no backup threat. But since he has Brainstorm, he doesn't have to use his cards that way necessarily.
Yeah, I think it's acceptable.
Can find another threat card.
Look, this game's going to go long. I don't think you need to try to play that tempo game of protect my Tarmogoyf and get the job done, and then maybe get ruined by Terminus the very next turn.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. There's a lot of matchups where it's very easy for Bug Delver to protect its starts with soft permission, but Miracles has Swords to Plowshares, it has Terminus. It initiates a lot of fights for 1 mana, which takes a lot of the sting out of Spell Piercing Daze.
Williams is going to draw a card here. Brainstorm is what he's found. He's going to play Misty first. He wants to make it a perfect Brainstorm. And he's going to play that here. Going to do it off a Trop, not going to do it off an Underground. We'll see if that comes back to hurt him.
Well, he can always use the fetch land to go get one of his 2-mana plays. It does cut off him to Torak if that's the thing he finds to do.
Yeah. So 3 cards here. Time to put a couple back. Found another copy of Tarmogoyf. Going to sacrifice here. And now deploy a Tarmogoyf. I imagine it was going to search up a Bayou.
Yeah, get the good spread of mana.
Yeah, and there that is. So he's got all 3. Here's a Brainstorm at the end of his turn. See if maybe we're going to have a counter here. This could Daze.
I don't think this Daze is getting much better is the thing. Although, the upshot of this is Austin not dazing here will likely lead Shane to believe that there's no Daze to be had.
Yeah,
he may play something, you see a Vendilion Click, you see a Jace, he might be more willing to run those threats into a Daze.
You also see a Snapcaster in hand now, too. We could see Snapcaster on Swords, Daze the Swords.
Yep.
Which would be pretty good as well. I think the reason that Shane cast that Brainstorm in a turn is because, look, I need some lands. I've got an island, a plains, and a mountain. I don't think he's got anything else as far as lands are concerned.
It's not just quantity, too. It's quality, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
He's got to find double blue soon. Be able to resolve this Jace.
And Lurgoyf's coming across. It's a 3-4. So now we're going to start to get to work on that life total, assuming that Shane allows him to. And now we might be in a situation, Patrick, where it's just protect the Tarmogoyf. We let the first one go. Now here's Snappy. I imagine, yeah, that's going to target the swords. And it's going to go after the Goyf. I think, yeah, you got to daze this one.
Yeah.
Make sure you float the mana. Yeah, and then you daze it. That's a force on blue card. So now we're going to have a big battle. Force on Brainstorm. We can see a forcible back.
Yeah, I think Shane's trying to pick a path here of get the board clear and try to win with Jace.
Yep.
Now, he can still do that in the face of the Tarmogoyf. He can say, for example, play Jace, minus it, get it on the way back. So he doesn't have to win this fight right here. But you can see the line of play that Shane's trying to develop right now.
It looks like he doesn't want to cast the Forceful, but it feels like he almost feels like he's forced to cast it.
Yeah.
Keep Jace as his last card. He knows the top card of his deck. So I'm almost positive it's not a land. So he doesn't get to just spike Jace because then it would just be lights out. I don't even think he would think twice about it. So here goes Goyf. And let's not forget, too, he does get to keep Snapcaster Mage. That's not gone.
At a certain point, Shane also, he has to identify what could be in Austin's hand. You know it's not a threat card because he would have cast it, almost certainly. And you know it's not a cantrip because he would have cast that. So lands and removal spells, maybe stifles, those are the kind of cards you can put him on here reasonably. So it makes sense to get aggressive fighting that fight.
That's a good draw. Jeez, that's a good draw. Liliana. And I think you have to count. Yeah, you got to counter it.
Yeah.
I think you have to because if you just, well, I guess you could let it go, and then when it ticks up, assuming it does tick up, you just discard the force and hope you draw an island.
That's some risky play.
It really is. There's Verdant, pass it back. Draw a card, in for 2. You can see the last 2 draws here were Swords and Counterbalance. Can't even cast Counterbalance. This is crazy to think of from a Miracles deck.
And you got to like Shane's spot from here. I mean, his draw steps are just better pound for pound than Austin's.
I think so, too.
Especially with a Source of Plowshares as insurance.
Now we get to play the naked Counterbalance game. Oh, never mind. Forget that. Abrupt Decay. No reason to reveal, of course. Can't counter it. Austin's going to draw a card here. He needs to find a cantrip.
Yeah, this is one of those hands, he's got a Daze and a land and a fetch land. It looks bad, but it's one of those type of hands where if he draws a Brainstorm or a Ponder, it could go from bad to excellent without much help.
Gonna Swords that. Gonna gain a little bit of life, and here comes Snap Daddy.
I suspect this is not the way that Shane believes the matchup is supposed to play out here. Snapcaster just trucking along here on an empty board, but I'm sure he doesn't mind.
Against the old Abrupt Decay deck?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Well, hey, let's keep it going. 2 more. There's a Flood Strand. And the reason he's playing his lands here, of course, is to try to play it on Liliana, making him discard. However, by playing your lands, and here's the Tarmogoyf, 1, your opponent knows you have counter magic, but 2, if you draw a Brainstorm, it's actually pretty bad then.
Yeah, so it's... I think that ultimately the tiebreaker in all of this is because there's him to Torak, there's Liliana, but as you mentioned, there's incentives to keep lands in hand. I think the tiebreaker here is that if he draws Entreat, he wants as much mana as possible to make as many angels while still playing around Daze or Spell Pierce or whatever he's worried about.
Yep. Entreat's the biggie.
I agree with you that it's nice for him to be able to hold lands back. There's some arguments for just playing them because of the discard spells, but if I was Shane, I would just keep playing them just to maximize the draw of Entreat, which seems like the most important consideration of all the factors.
And hey, I don't know which one's right. Are you supposed to hold them? Or are you supposed to, as you said, play for Entreat?
If there's no Entreat in his list, I think he's supposed to at least hold the last one back, the Tarn, and possibly the Strand before that as well.
He saw Forcible to draw. Here comes Big Bad Tarmogoyf. That's for 5. That's a lot.
Force of Will is a fine draw here. I mean, a hard counter spell even at 5 mana in this board is really nice.
That's a Brainstorm. I almost want to counter that, which is... I don't know if that's crazy. I feel like countering that's probably pretty good. Oof. Oof.
I think I like countering it if he has 1 card in his hand. But empty-handed, I think you got to let it go.
Well, he did, and it's risky. Top's in play. I think he's going to counter this.
Yes, he has to.
Yeah, it's the best card in their deck. I think you have to counter that card. See, I think that's a mistake. I think you have to counter that card.
With 2 fetch lands in play,
Yeah.
it's just too. He gets to look at too many cards.
And that's the fastest block I've ever seen, and it is appropriate because here's a Terminus, of course. Yep, and so he's going to force a will that. And that's fine because Shane knows his next card is a Terminus, and also he can just take a lick. Ooh, ooh,
Whoa,
yeah,
ho-ho.
hey. Hey,
Slow down.
You need that Terminus, my friend. I wouldn't sacrifice that. He's going to spin now. Take a look at Terminus, top of the plains.
Yeah, it's awkward because he wants to, maybe miracle the Terminus off the top next turn, but then he has to shuffle away the top, which is a big payoff.
He needs the top.
I think he's just got to take one more lump here and Terminus and then hopefully stabilize from there.
And this matchup, 3 and 0 isn't a big difference. Now, the thing that makes this stink is he goes to 3, which means fetch line activations, he doesn't get many of them. That's the thing that stinks. He's going to spin, make sure he did set everything up. Here's Terminus again. Bye-bye Tarmogoyf. Brainstorm the draw.
There it is. Help is on the way.
Yeah. Austin gets to put away some garbage, too. Here's looking at you, Daze. 1, 2, and 3. Wasteland, Delver, X. X's Tombstalker. It's pretty good. Put a couple cards back. It's a Boomstalker, I believe. Yup. So we're going to delve the underused mechanic from Future Sight.
I'm surprised Shane isn't even spinning the top here in response.
I am too. Like spinning and fetching.
Maybe,
See what
I
your
don't even know if
options
you
are.
want to, I don't know if you necessarily want to fetch, but at least,
It's free info.
Okay, he's just waiting for costs to be paid.
Okay.
Okay, that's totally fine.
Crack. To 2 he goes.
And this is the issue of letting this deck have dividing top. I mean, even with no counterbalance in play, even with no cards in hand, he's getting so many looks.
It has to be stated. It's their best card.
Yeah, I was covering a match with Shroud while you were on break, and I said, I don't know if it's the most powerful card in the deck, but it's certainly the most important.
That's how I feel. It's the engine that makes the car go. Oh, well, look, those 3 cards suck. Fine, I'll fetch. I'll look again.
Yep.
I'm at 1. Get a basic planes.
And it's not even just, removal spells or Terminus. From here, even Entreat might be enough to just steal the game.
Look again.
Although now, Shane, he can't all cast a force. And it looks like, well, he will get another look next turn because he draws for his turn and then looks again. But the top 3 here, no help. Just 2 lands and a top.
Yeah, with all that fetching, not able to find anything on all 3 looks.
And finally now, and it looks like Austin's holding back 1 threat here in case of Terminus.
Aha.
So now this is happening. I mean, you play around one thing and
Yeah, if he played 2 threats, he'd be fine. Oh, my goodness. Just the Planeswalker, best Planeswalker of all time. No big deal.
and of all the things to bounce too, something that's not easy to cast on the way back.
Yeah, that turn he could have played a Delver.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if his draw step is, if Shane finds Terminus, Austin looks like a genius. I think the fact that there's numerous cards that punish him for this line, Source of Plowshares, Chase the Mind Sculptor, even a Vendilion, Click to Chump Block, so on and so forth. I think Austin's supposed to play the 2 threats there and just accept that Terminus might beat him.
Yeah, if he finds Terminus number 3, that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to say, how everything broke here. It's easy for us to say now.
Yeah. Now, it looks like Austin has found another Delver, which may allow him to deploy several threats if he's feeling so inclined.
Yep. I think you have to. Because one thing is that your opponent is only working with the cards that are on top of the deck. There's no fetching and shuffling. So what they can find is very, very limited. So there's Boomstalker. There's Delver. I like casting another one. if he has another one in his hand. So there's top. We're going to spin. 2 and 3. Snappy. Can't snap Terminus yet. Doesn't have enough mana.
The sword got exiled earlier.
Yes, it did.
But there appears to be a second swords.
That's not so bad. If the Delver doesn't flip, it's okay.
I mean, this is fine regardless, right? He can just Jace the Tombstalker again.
Yep.
Go to next turn.
Well, yeah, he goes. Oh yeah, sure. So he just goes bounce your Tombstalker, and then if your Delver flips, Snapcaster your swords.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
And what a threat to unsummon. This Tombstalker is getting harder and harder for Austin to get back into play.
Let's make sure he bounces the right threat. I think it's Tombstalker. Yeah, let's get that out of here.
Yeah, I want Austin recasting that one as many times as possible.
Yeah, I agree. Take a look. He's just going to do this right now. Do you like this play?
Inside the upkeep?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is you're sort of compelled to do it no matter what, right? Because what if Austin doesn't flip and you just say attack? I guess you can go Snapcaster, target the plow, and then if Austin doesn't play anything, that's fine. You just let it go.
Yeah, because then you get to brainstorm. You get to brainstorm with Jace. Also, I think there might be a brainstorm in his graveyard. Oh, well, 2 more threats, and Deathrite Shaman is a very good one.
So Shane now back in the same spot.
Terminus, where are you? I need you, Terminus. Ponder.
Some redraws.
Yeah. Don't forget, he hasn't brainstormed Jace yet either.
Yeah, that's the last option. I think ideally he wants to. I guess at this point he does need to find a sweeper because he just loses Jace altogether.
He's going to bounce. Draw a card. Draw the Ponder.
This also feels very preempted to me. I mean, he could wait on the Jace.
I think he can 100% wait on the Jace.
If he finds a Terminus in all this, then he would rather keep the Jace in play.
Yeah. I don't love the sequencing there, but I also have watched Joe play the deck so many times that, the sequencing is almost second nature to me because I get to see him I get to watch him maximize how many cards you see so many times.
Yeah. Because now there's now, maybe he gets out of this turn. Maybe he finds Source of Plowshares or what have you, but what about the next turn?
Delver flipping? Yes. Scoopy scoop. See you later. Austin Williams once again on 1 over Shane Remelt. Bug Delver squeaks out the first one over Blue-White Miracles.
Yeah, it's one of those games where, Austin feels like he has him on the ropes, and then turn after turn, Shane's barely able to fend him off, but finally just misses one time too many, and Austin up a game.
Well, my friend, we're going to take a look at sideboards here. We'll start with Shane Remelt's, which you do have in front of you.
2 red Elemental Blast, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Supreme Verdict, a Pyroblast, a Pithy Needle, 2 Meddling Mage, a Vendilion Click, 2 copies of Disenchant, a Sapo's Web. And
excuse me?
Oh my goodness. And an Is It Staticaster. So I would imagine that we are going to see the Vendilion Click, the possibly the Pithy Needle, as it's an answer to Liliana, though a little narrow in application. I think the 2 copies of Rest in Peace are great here. The creature-based Tarmogoyf, Deathrite Shaman, Tombstalker all struggle against that card.
Quite good.
And I think the 2 copies of Supreme Verdict are here as well. I think that Sapo's Web is probably for, I would guess, for Death and Taxes.
Okay, web check. 2 colorless. Comes into play cantrips, and your lands can't be the target of stuff? Is that it?
Lands with activated powers do not untap during their controller's untap step. I believe is the card.
Okay.
So Rashad Port, Wasteland, Horizon Canopy, Caracas. I think all those lands get locked up.
That's one of the more adorable things I've seen.
Yep.
I like it. What's Austin got?
Creeping Tar Pit, 2 Disfigure, a Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Golgari Charm, a Hematorak, a Null Rod, a Crozane Grip, 2 Vendilion Clicks, and a Force Will. I really like Vendilion Click. I like the Crozane Grip, the Null Rod, and the Creeping Tar Pit. All seem like good additions.
I'm actually surprised to see Tar Pit in the board.
Well, one for the slower matchups, you know? I don't mind it.
I think it's good. I'm
Yeah.
surprised it's not main. That's all.
Well, it is awfully slow, and there's a lot of matchups where you don't have nearly the time for that kind of thing.
Because Tar Pit I expect to be actually pretty good in this matchup.
In this matchup, yes. You know, Shane's going to just try to kill everything. Having a threat that you can activate at instant speed, something that doesn't get swept up under a Terminus, if it's coming off of Shane's draw step, these are all good things. And if Austin is anticipating Rest in Peace, having threats that aren't predicated on the graveyard is really nice as well.
Okay, so fun question time. Which of those 5 man lands is the best? Colonnade? We think?
I think my answer is different from format to format. I think in low power formats, that Connolade and Raging Ravine are the best, and in high power formats, Creeping Tar Pit's the best.
So the other 2 are Stirring Wildwood. Okay, Lava Claw Reaches is definitely the worst one.
It is the worst under all circumstances.
Okay, got it.
Sorry, if players are allowed to have infinite mana at all times, it's the best one. Otherwise, it's the worst one.
Okay, well, is it the best one? Because you can then, like, what you can do with Raging Ravine is you can just keep activating it. Isn't that a thing you could do? Like, you just keep activating, like, isn't that like a thing? Like, you activate Raging Ravine, attack with it, and then it gets 2 counters?
I thought they changed that rule. It used to be the white Genju used to get double or triple wife link in those situations. I thought that rule got changed. Maybe you're right. So it's not even the best in infinite mana world.
You know what? I'm going to throw up on the Lava Claw Reaches. Let's just say the Raging Ravine thing doesn't work.
Okay.
And Lava Claw Reaches wins that one.
Right.
All right, we're going to give it 1.
Okay, so my answer is different from format to format. In low power formats, if you had your hypothetical standard format, I think Raging Ravine or Connolade are the best ones. In high power formats where, you know, it's about mana efficiency, it's more about attacking planeswalkers, it's more about doing things that can't be interacted with, Creeping Tar Pit becomes the better one.
I've lost a Creeping Tar Pit a lot in my life where I was like, you know, beginning the turn at 12, and then I'll just like a shoulder shrug and all right, let's do it.
The decks I play typically are good against Creeping Tar Pit. I have lost to Celestial Connolade plenty, though.
Yeah, sure.
Plenty.
It's just, you know, Creeping Tar Pit's working away your life total when you're at 12, and you just go from 9 to 6 to 3, and you're just like, come on, really?
Yeah.
And then they finish you off. Hey, and I mean, it happens, trust me.
The decks I play typically aren't very good against Sarah Angel, so getting that off your Coastal Tower, that's pretty tough to beat.
You know what we're in store for one day, I don't know when, but the enemy versions of those.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what those are going to be.
Well,
That's design space that hasn't been used yet.
it's true. They do typically shoot very high in power level with manlands. I mean, the initial ones in Urza's Legacy, you know, Treetop Village and Fairy Conclave, still superstars.
The encampment's okay.
Kevin's fine.
The Watchtower's horrible.
Watchtower got the short end of it. Even Spawning Pool showed up a little bit in Flores' Napster deck back in the day.
It's actually probably good the Watchtower sucks. Blue-white decks don't need a good threat.
Well, you know, generally speaking, I prefer cards that cause the game to conclude rather than to go on forever. Forbidden Watchtower is one of this game's going to be going on for a long time.
It's just a 1/5, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks. That's okay. We still love you, Watchtower. Someone's got to be the worst.
Right.
That's all.
Correct.
Not everyone can be Mutavault.
And I like the one with flying and the one with trample being the powerful ones. Just get the game over with and play another one.
Pretty much, yeah. Both players going to take a look at our opener here. We'll be underway in just a bit between Remelt and Williams, Split Red Miracles, and Bug Delver. It's a top. If you have a counter spell, I'd counter it. But it doesn't look like there is one.
That's why the card Shahrazad entertains me so much. So the game engine already handles this. You just play a second game. You just play another game after the first game's over, you know?
Maybe that's ancient design. That's
Yeah.
all. That's an ancient old design. Time to spin the top here. You saw Delver there from Austin. Remelt going to draw a card. Down a game right now. 6-0-2. If he wins, he's in top 8. Austin Williams wins. He's in top 8 as well. Probably your #1 seed, too.
Yep, X1. I mean, Joe's in the process of double drawing. Probably going to see a healthy number of 7 1-on-1s in, so it's a big match.
Top 8 seems to be pretty diversified as well. There's a Storm deck, it looks like, in top 8.
Ooh.
There's also a Dredge deck as well, so could be a speedster tonight. Torak, fire away.
Oof.
And you see Remelt with the mana that's available. That mountain has been a real pain.
Yep. And Torak is pretty ageless. I mean, the reaction that I had when it got cast against me 18 years ago is the same one that Shane just had. Just, oof.
Yeah, the air comes out from the stomach. Yeah.
Your wind gets knocked out of you. And losing the rest in peace there,
That stinks.
that is really rough. I mean, Shane can't really cast anything right now. He's having problems with colors yet again. And rest in peace is really important.
There's a Caracas. It's a juicy wasteland target. We'll take a look at the top card here with Delver. Ding, ding, ding. Give me a brainstorm.
It's a rough hand here. Double white spell, double blue spell. Just a mountain chilling out in play.
Yep. How about an attack for 3? Yep. Yeah, and there's a wasteland. Jeez. Shane's gonna spin. Take a look at the top 3. It's a Jace, a flooded strand at the top. That flooded strand could not be more important.
Yeah, if that's a non-land there, this might be a wrap.
Yeah. Here's that. Pass it back. Have to be a little wary of Stifle. Some Bug Delver decks do play that, but Shane not going to crack right away.
And in fact, Austin with 3 copies in his main deck.
Whoops.
Not sure if he kept them in.
I have to believe you did. You can counter miracles with those. I'm going to get a blue mana, huh? A little surprised by that. I mean, he could go get a blue and a white, but he could get a Tundra. But he's opting to get just a basic island.
Showing a lot of respect for another wasteland.
Yeah,
it's
really
a huge cost, but I don't know if in the same situation I would be willing to do that. I would probably get a little greedier.
Well, there's another wasteland there. Here's a brainstorm. So maybe this play was correct. Maybe there was some sort of giveaway at the table. There are 2 more wastelands. Jeez, oh Pete.
I would try to hide those wastelands if I was Austin. I mean, maybe you give up a spell here, but you may be able to trap Shane into getting it on basic. Also, maybe it's just better to hide Liliana the Veil because Shane's so low on resources.
Yeah, this is true. I could see that.
A lot of routes for Austin to take. I mean, he can play the protect my best card game, or he can play the information game, both of which have their upsides.
One thing, yeah, I was gonna say one thing we don't know is where Vendillion's going,
Yep.
and that's why Vendillion's so powerful. It's gonna trade here with the Delvers because Austin's like forced to brainstorm, and then he's like, I'm just targeting myself. What are you doing?
Well, he might have been brainstorming there to hunt for days.
That's fair.
He could have waited technically for Shane to announce the trigger, but
Yeah.
I think he wanted to find days.
It's ponder time. There's another Delver.
Yeah, I think he was hiding everything right there from that Vendilion click. And so now he has Deathrite Shaman, Liliana, and Delver of Secrets all rolled up.
Yep. See what he's going to deploy, if anything. There's Deathrite. Time to kick it. Remelt's going to spin. Entreat. Verdict. Ugh. Brainstorm is okay.
Yep. If you can find a way to shuffle.
I think you have to cast. Okay, Ponder's not a bad card. So let's go look at 3 cards here. Swords? I don't think so. That's the new one. It's a quick shuffle there for Shane.
And I think Liliana might start squeezing him here.
Bug deck comes from a lot of angles.
Yep.
A lot of angles.
Absolutely.
There's an island. Another one. Jeez, oh Pete's. That's not what he wants. He needs white mana. And you mentioned how Liliana can put the squeeze on now. We'll see if Austin wants to actually cast it. Yeah, the green light's on. He says, let's do this.
Yeah, Austin's hand is, I mean, it's 3 lands, so they're, plussing Liliana uncontested is pretty good against Miracles to begin with, and it's not like Austin has anything in his hand to protect, so
Yep.
go upstairs.
Time to discard. There's Disenchant. There's an Underground Sea. Huh. I don't know how I mean, it's not insurmountable. It's not insurmountable, excuse me. I mean, he's at 15.
Yep.
But this is tough. Remelt's going to draw Scalding Tarn.
Problem is he's going to be living off the top.
Yep.
Now that's, Fortunately for Shane, he has the best card possible for that sort of thing, which is
top.
Sensei's Divining Top. But he's taking some licks right now. His hand's going to get squeezed. It's going to be harder for him to set things up.
You know Deathrite's going to go to work on the life total. Let's spin that top. We're actually going to cast a Brainstorm here first. 2, 3. Rest in peace is juicy. So you get to put 2 of these back and discard 1 of them.
Yeah, so we can get rid of, I suppose, the Tarn here if he wants to.
I think you discard the Tarn, you draw the Rest in Peace, you crack the land, get a Tundra, play Rest in Peace. I think is what I would want to do, because I want Terminus in my deck still. I don't want to lose one of those.
You have so many looks at things.
Yeah.
And Shane has a lot of mana to function with, so I feel like he can get rid of the Tarn.
He's got to keep one of those. And so he's going to discard Terminus. I'm a little surprised. Let's see what Williams wants to do.
It looks like he's contemplating adding a Delver to his side of the table.
Yep.
I mean, he's got to be a little nervous. If Shane discarded Terminus there, does that mean he has a backup Terminus?
Yep.
So it's scary stuff.
It'll get you thinking.
I think in this spot, if you're uncertain, it's better to err on the side of just cast the stuff in your hand because you have Liliana in play and you want to be plussing.
This is another reason I like discarding the Tarn, because now what could happen is that once if you discard Tarn, maybe it's likely that he deploys Delver, but it looks like he's going to deploy Delver anyway. And then what you're able to do is, okay, I'm going to rearrange my top.
Yeah.
I'm going to put Terminus on top. And then I reveal Terminus, crack my Scalding Tarn with Terminus being revealed on the stack, go get a Tundra, kill both your creatures. Now I just have to try to beat a Liliana. And again, I'm doing pretty good against that with a top.
And it's not even clear at this point how much, let's say, Rest in Peace matters, because the Delver can flip and Deathrite Shaman can attack for 1.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's your Tundra. There's your Rest in Peace. Yeah, I think that Rest in Peace is a good card against this deck. For obvious reasons, Deathrite, Tombstalker, Tarmogoyf. However, it's not great in this particular situation.
Yeah. It would have been great on the second or third turn. The initial one got hemmed away.
Yeah.
But now, you know, Austin has, if this Delver flips, 4 points of power play against an opponent who's on 12. And doesn't really need his graveyard going forward.
Austin's going to check here for the top with the old Delver. It's a miss. But he's got a Wasteland.
Yeah, I mean, he gets to have a good turn here.
Yep. So see you later, Tundra. Liliana's ticking up. See you later, Wasteland. Jeez. And now here's an attack for just 2, of course, because Rest in Peace is in play. Now it's time to spin. Swords, Plains, Snap.
Snapcaster's lost some of its legs here, but a 2-1 blocker wouldn't even be that bad.
You might actually have to draw Snapcaster Mage just to start to get to work on Liliana.
Yeah.
And Delver flipping now is a real disaster. I guess what we could see here is, all right, draw the Swords of Plowshares, kill your Delver. That's not so bad.
But Austin gets some pretty brutal splits here with this Liliana,
I
if
agree.
that's the sequence.
We might actually see him go up to 7 and then down to 1.
Maybe. There's something that's really attractive right now about splitting Plains Rest in Peace against X.
I actually thought the same thing. Yeah.
But it looks like Austin is taking your line. He's just going to plus the Liliana here as he fired off the Spell Pierce for not really any upside.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, 7 to 1.
Plains Rest in Peace versus the other lands is I mean, that's a squeeze.
Yeah, it really is. There's top. Kick it back. Let's see what this will be. Cantrip type effect?
I believe it's a Ponder.
And it is. Let's go deeper. Take a look at 3 cards. Goyf stinks. Deathright kind of stinks, and I think Delver's the other one, and that one stinks because it's not going to flip for a couple turns.
Yeah, that feels like a shuffle to me.
What we could see here, though, is you put your opponent to the test with Rest in Peace, and then this Goyf and Friends actually look good.
Yeah, it looks like Shane is responding to this Liliana ultimate right now. And there's nothing to be done with the top once Shane allows the trigger to resolve. Then the piles get split and he chooses something. So this is tough because no matter what he does, Austin's going to be working with the best possible information once Shane says, all right, the trigger resolves.
Yep. Gonna draw a card with top. See what this is gonna be. 3. Okay, so he's floating mana. That's mighty interesting. And he's got to be really careful about how he splits this. Yeah, this is a sort of thing where you take your time with this. This is a game-altering effect.
To me, the most obvious, straightforward split is still Plains Rest in Peace against your other lands.
Island times 3 and Mountain. Feels like he's kind of giving him an extra land.
Well, I don't know. This may be a slightly better split.
Okay.
Because I think the other way, he just definitely keeps his 4 lands.
Okay.
I think it's close, at any rate. I think this is also a reasonable split from Austin.
As do I. Gonna attack with Deathright. I thought. Nope. Nothing in the graveyard to remove, so that's off. Yeah, so that's tapped from the Ponder. Now here's Delver. Okay. And there's your Snapcaster. Hi, Deathright Shaman. What's up? You hold your horses. Spin it. Maybe not. Maybe so.
I mean, this has got to still be worth protecting, I feel like. And you know your Delver's not flipping for another 2 turns.
Yeah, you got 2 turns till it flips. I'd almost rather block with Delver there.
Yeah.
Deathright has value. Again, you know this thing's not flipping. Yeah, you can't look at the top card like you don't know what it is. You kept with Ponder. In for 1. You know it's a Goyf. That's a 1 power Goyf. Liliana takes up. Spin this. 2, 3. So far away from the Verdict. Verdict would be a backbreaker.
Yeah, but he's got a long way to go.
Jace might be okay. He'd have to give away his top, but it might be okay. You play that, you get a Tundra.
Well, what's the plan long term with Jace here? I mean, you have to unsummon, it gets chipped, and, what if the Delver flips? What if another card goes to the graveyard with Tarmogoyf?
Well, we 100% know Delver's not flipping next turn. We know that.
We're 99%, let's call it.
I'd say 100. I can speak for myself when I say 100.
Okay, that's fair.
The top card of Austin's deck is Deathright Shaman. So, and of course Shane doesn't know that, but if Shane was working with perfect information, what I think you do here is you activate top, you draw the Jace, you sacrifice the Tarn, you go to 5, you get yourself a Tundra, you play the Jace, you bounce the Goyf, since Goyf is now 2 power, and we know that Delver's not going to flip, so it's 1 power. You take your chip shot at your Jace, you go down to 1, and you brainstorm, maybe you hope for the best. Your deck's reshuffled, you could peel Terminus.
Not an unreasonable plan.
I feel like in this situation, you can't just say go. You have to do something. Now, if I knew if Terminus was in the top couple cards of my deck, that's a different situation.
Yeah, then you can kind of try to engineer it.
Yeah, I can try to rope a dope. Leon's going to take up a 3 after deploying. Spin. See if Terminus is the 3rd card down. Nope.
And now Jace is really not a reprieve.
This is interesting, though, because Shane takes 2. He goes to 4. And he has a Tarn on top of his... He has an Arid Mace, excuse me, that he can draw. And he also has a Supreme Verdict, so what he could do is he takes 2. He goes down to 2. Yeah, so he plays that. He takes 2, he goes down to 2. Yeah, he has to let go of his top. That sucks. But he casts Verdict.
Yeah.
Clears it up.
Doesn't look like there's a choice here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see Shane, he wants to give one more swing with the top, maybe in case there's something down there that prevents him from having to give up the top, but it seems like that's kind of out of the question.
So it looks like he's going to go spin, draw. Because he can actually look at some cards here if he sequences correctly. So he says, all right, match my top to spin. In response, I'll draw a card. I'll draw Supreme Verdict. In response to that, crack my fetch. In response to that, crack my other. In response to that, crack my fetch, resolve that. Then crack my fetch without a stack, resolve that. Then I get to see the next cards after both of my fetches have been cracked. So I know what the next 3 cards are going to be. Now he's at 2. I feel like he missed out on the opportunity to look at the top 3 cards of his deck at this point.
Well, what's he going to find besides Supreme Verdict that he's interested in?
Well, no, Supreme Verdict he's always going to draw.
Oh, just in terms of getting some to rearrange?
Yeah, he would know the 3 cards of his deck right now if he stacks it correctly. Now this is just a mystery. Now that's a good draw.
That's not bad.
2, 3. Oh boy. Oh, it's turning.
Treat on top. And just like that, I think Shane might have flipped it.
He's going to play Tarn. Yeah, okay. What's this going to be? Brainstorm's pretty big, actually. That's fine. I don't want to leak any info.
Yeah. Shane may want to respond now to prevent Austin from finding a counterspell that mucks up this retreat.
The thing is, there isn't like a word where he keeps days, right?
Probably not.
You gotta have like a sicko read.
Yeah. And now what's Austin going to do? It's awkward because he kind of wants to plus the Liliana again, but it doesn't seem like he can find anything he can just play.
Yep. Gonna brainstorm again, I think. The problem with this is this isn't the most effective use of brainstorms right now. Here's a force. That doesn't matter though, because he's got no cards in his hand. It's a Misty and Abrupt Decay, so none of those cards really matter at this point. He's just gonna play Misty. He's gonna tick this up, and he's gonna get assaulted by Angels here and draw a card. Hello. Pay the costs.
Shane's done a great job getting himself into this spot. Things were looking really bleak.
Yeah, he can sack the fetch land to do that. I guess he doesn't want to sack the fetch land because he wants to keep top. That's fine. That makes sense to me. I think you kill Liliana, and then you attack for 4. You put your opponent down at 19. Yep, you play top, you kick it. You gotta get moving and grooving though. Look at the clock, my friend.
Yes.
He's got 2 draws. Third one is not good.
He's got to sack this fetch land now because I think the card that Austin needs at this stage is Deathrite Shaman. I don't know if there's another card that can get him to the finish line.
That's the card that steals it. The Tar Pit too.
Yeah, Tar Pit. Tar Pit's not bad.
Assuming it is in the deck. It's in the sideboard to start. Yeah, he cracks it. Underground C gonna come in here.
Also, keep in mind the clock here. We're under 6 minutes now. This is a spot where this match could end in a draw, which may or may not be fine for Austin, and is definitely not fine for Shane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's force of will, and I don't think that's going to do it.
U. Pushing a 6. Death Threat's too slow now. Tar Pit's too slow. I don't think he's an out.
Yeah, his hand's force of will. I think we're going to be going to a game 3.
Yeah. Pass. Untap. Draw. Bash. Game. Well played by Shane Remelt. We're going to go to a third one. Miracles is so resilient. Jeez.
Yeah, awesome stuff. I mean, Shane looked like he was up against the ropes there in several different ways and found a way to battle through it.
I'll tell you, the thing, games like that are why I like Entreat in the deck. Is because your ability to steal a game.
Yeah.
That's why I like it. Now, does that mean that the card is correct? I'm not sure. Brian Bronwyn, for example, plays the deck with Stoneforge Mystic and Batterskull. And he wins the games in a more traditional way. Joe has more creatures in his deck. He plays 3 Vendilion Clicks, a Venser, a Snapcaster, and then some number of Entreat the Angels, depending on the weekend. But I don't know. I like the ability to just kind of, players have to play around it. You can ambush people. You can close a game out fast. It's a 3 for counterbalance. It seems really nice.
The thing about it, for me is just finishing the rounds in time.
Yeah.
That's the, Brian Bronwyn's list, I would be very concerned. If we're talking about unlimited time, maybe that list is better, maybe it's not. I'm not the most important person to make that kind of call. But if you're asking me which build do I want to play in a 9-round tournament, it's definitely one with Entreat.
I agree.
Because you got to be concerned about finishing your rounds.
Yeah, you got to finish.
I mean, Shane's over here with 2 draws. I'm willing to bet both of them were unintentional.
Yep.
And he's playing with Entreat.
Yep.
I mean, the games just go on for a long time.
There's also, you can imagine, too, where the 2 draws, he's like, man, I was going to win. I just didn't have time. That's very real for this deck. And so now both players have to play speed Magic. And here's the thing. I've watched a lot of Magic in my life, as Austin's going to mulligan here. In Legacy, I don't think you can finish a game, especially in this matchup, that quickly. Because, look, it takes time to fetch. It takes time to brainstorm. It takes time to ponder.
To top.
Yeah, no matter how fast you play, that's seconds off the clock. You can't shortcut those actions. So I think we're headed into draw territory. Maybe one person concedes so that, one person makes a top 8. But a draw, I think, for Austin Williams is fine.
It's unclear. We don't have that information, but
Yep.
a win is a first overall seed.
Yeah, we know that. Austin going to hand of Tarmogoyf Brainstorm, 4 lands, 2 of which are Wasteland. He's going to keep. He wants to try to get done. Terminus is the first draw here. That's a Tarn. This is a Ponder. We'll see if he's going to get a basic island or a non-basic. I'd be surprised. Yeah, that's a basic. I'd be surprised if it was non-basic.
I mean, look at this first turn here.
Almost a minute.
And what if Shane has to shuffle off of this Ponder?
Tick-tock goes the clock. That's what happens there. Kick it back. There's just no great way to close quickly. There's 8 Tarmogoyf. Untap, draw a card. It's a 2/3. Top has been found. There that is.
If Shane can win in time, though, it's only Entreat.
Yeah, no other card does it. Verdant. Goyf. We're in for 2. You see the Brainstorm. Could have made it 3 if you'd like. But there's also this aspect of when you're playing quickly, you're more prone to make mistakes. Arid Mesa can get sacrificed here. That's good.
Boston still has Stifle in the deck. I think he's got to at least give that a look with the Brainstorm.
I could see that, given the situation. Couple of cards there. Jace Power Blast and Friends. Take a draw, Will Shane. That's Power Blast to the grip. There's Floodstrand. That can find Volcanic. There's a Brainstorm in a turn. And see, I mean, no matter how quickly you play, the decisions are all magnified. He might want to counter this Brainstorm.
Yeah.
He might want to think about, okay, Maybe I Pyroblast this. Maybe this is how I want to use Pyroblast. And down the road, I can Snapcaster the Pyroblast. But you don't have time for that now.
Yeah.
And resolving a Brainstorm plus fetching, that takes time.
Yeah. Are you supposed to be Vendilion clicking in response
Yep.
somewhere along the line here?
Yeah,
you know?
who knows? If you're going to play Miracles, you got to know how to do it. And this is obviously a learning experience for Shane. This has to be a very frustrating tournament for him. If he ends up 6-0-3, he's going to walk away from this tournament, and he's won one of these before, saying, I didn't lose a match. I'm not in the elimination rounds.
I don't know. I mean, you can be frustrated, but it's only at yourself. I mean, if you get 3 unintentional draws in a 9-round tournament, maybe your matches went long, but maybe random stuff happened that's outside your control, but that's a hard number of draws to get.
In one tournament.
In one tournament.
Yep, I agree.
So the clock has hit 0.
Beep. We'll figure out what turn it is right now. It's turn 0 right now, my friends. So here's a V-click. We don't know where it's going just yet.
Yeah, so Shane gets 1, 3, and 5.
Yeah, there's Tarmogoyf and a Deathrite Shaman. Even though he does such a nice job of clocking the Liliana. Down to 1 goes the Planeswalker. And it's funny, because do I think Shane's going to win this game, given how this game looks? I do.
It looks really good for him.
I actually do. I mean, he's got he's got a Swords for the Goyf.
It's no luck, but,
Yeah, but
it looks really good.
And there's just not enough time. See the hand. Terminus. So you can discard that one. Here's Bonder. There's Pyroblast. He's going to let that go. See the Spell Pierce, too.
And now an Abrupt Decay in those top 3 almost certainly cement a draw here.
Yeah, it kills the click. There's Goyf. Gonna spin the top here, I imagine, in just a second.
Yeah, Austin just figuring out if there's anything else he wants to add here. Looks like he likes to creep. It looks like he's just emptying out his hand here to be able to use Liliana empty-handed. And there's that activation.
Yeah.
So
There goes Pierce. Draw a card here. Snapcaster. Turn number 3. I'm gonna finish that off. Gonna cast. Looks like cast Snapcaster right now. That means he, I imagine. Gonna get Swords. Take care of Goyf. Let's make sure he can do this around counter magic. So he gets it off the table. You see the Creeping Tar Pit that Weston Williams played last turn.
yeah.
That one's from the board. I love that card.
Yeah.
I really like that card because I've lost to it so much. I don't think I've ever activated or attacked with it before. That card's not in my range.
And now, there's no entreat, and
There's a him. I'll take care of a couple cards.
this looks like a...
And this is about as good. This is a draw right here.
Yeah, and the game's still very much, in my mind, in the balance,
I feel like it favors Shane.
Yeah, I think he's ahead, but with Creeping Tar Pit and Deathrite Shaman, no creature removal in hand, I mean, it's a game.
I guess Austin is at 25.
Yeah.
You get to get your racing shoes on. It's turn 5 now. Yep, there's an attack for 5. Williams going to go down to 20. It's definitely a race at this point. Yeah. That should be the last turn of the game there, so.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to do it.